Alright, so in today's video we're going to build this section of privacy fence right over here, so stick around and come along for the ride. Alright guys, I'm getting set up to run this other section of privacy fence here on the east end of my property. So I thought I'd bring you in here to kind of show you how I got started on things. So I got this carport here and I'm going to run it. I want to keep it in line with this front edge of the carport. So I took me a string line and wrapped around this leg that's closest to the house, and then I run it, I don't know, run it down that way about 100 foot. And when I was staking it in the ground down there, I just kind of when I drove that stake in the ground down there, I just kind of pulled that string real tight and got it running as close as I could to that post without touching it from down there. So then to make sure I'm running pretty much parallel, or actually I guess in this case it'd be perpendicular to my carport here. So it'll be a nice straight line down through there. So I staked that in the ground there, just eyeballing it here. And then I got my measuring tape here. So I just pushed a screwdriver in the ground and hooked my tape measure over the end of it. That way I'd have something to pull against. So on this section here, I think it ended up being like 96 foot or so. But I got a gate that I'm trying to lay out in here now. So you can kind of see I've kind of done some marking and got rid of that. But I'll show you down here on this end. I just drove a stake in the ground and wrapped the string line around it. Come back and pull my tape measure, 96 feet. That'll get me right behind this tree right here. I'm probably gonna have to dig through some tree roots, but I'm trying to keep it in line with the front of that building there, so I'm going to stop it at 96 feet there. And I'm going to put I was going to do 95 foot there, but I decided to come back 96. It just looked a little straighter with that building. I'm wanting to put a 12 foot drive-through gate here. So I just the ground is kind of a little steeper over here, and it kind of slowly, gradually starts sloping out a little straighter right here. So I just kind of come back to where I'm going to be just on this side of that tree. So I think I'm going to put my gate, I'm going to finish my gate at 88 foot here, and then I just kind of come back 12 foot here, so that should be 76 feet. So I marked 76 feet here on this side. That'll give me a 12 foot opening for my gate. I think that'll be plenty for anything I'm going to be driving through there, lawnmowers and maybe a trailer every once in a while. So I've got that marked there, 76 feet. I'll just take my calculator and go 76 feet and see how many posts I need in there, and then I'll get them marked out. Alright guys, so to get that, see how many fence posts I need, I just got this little construction calculator here, and I just do 76 feet, and then it's got a button here that says fence post. So you push it and it'll kind of go through you. I think this is like how many rails you're going to need, or how many feet of rails or something like that. And then let's show I need 11 posts. So 11, that'll give me 10 sections. So to figure out how many or how far apart they are, if I hit it again, it'll just show me like a 2 rail. I need 20 of them. If I do a 3 rail, it'll give me 30, and then you hit it again and it'll give you post on center. But this thing, you got to tell it what post you want. It comes default 8 foot center. So the way I'm going to figure it is I'm going to clear all that, and I'll do 76 feet divide by, I had 11 posts, so 11 posts, that'd give me 10 sections. So I'll divide that by, divide that by 10 equals, so I'll have like 7 foot 7 1/4. So I'll just go through here and mark them all 7 foot 7, and that'll give me my post on center. Alright, so I just hooked my tape measure up there on the building and kind of pulled it across here. It's basically like, I'm gonna say 32.5 feet. So I'll put that in my calculator and see how many posts I need here. Alright, so that was 32.5, so we'll go 32 feet 6 inches, and then I'll do fence post on centers. So I need 6 posts here. Alright, so I need 6 posts there, and then I need 4 for my gate post. That's 10. 10 posts I need to order, because I've already got that section up there needed 11, and I've got 10 left over, so that'll get that section up to the gate. I'll have to double the gate post up, so that's 4, and then 6, so 10. So I'm gonna finish marking this out with my measurements. I'll go mark all them 7 foot 7, and then this one here is close enough together I won't need anything special on it, and then I'll come through here and mark that one. Alright, I've got a low spot in the ground right here. So to bring that string line down closer to the ground, I'm just going to take a screwdriver and put in here. And then I'm going to stick it in the ground right here. Make sure, I'm kind of watching that string on that post up there and making sure I'm not getting it off. But I'm going to stick it in the ground right here. Well, I said I was, that ground's hard. Alright, so I'm going to get my hammer and hit that in the ground. So before I drive that in the ground with my hammer, I'm going to go up there and double check and make sure I'm not too far off that post. So I'm actually right up against it, so I'm probably just scoot it over just a touch and drive it in the ground. Alright. Alright, I think that's a lot better. Give me a better idea of where the posts are going to go. Got a high spot here that may be too low up there. Look, I'm pulling on against the ground here maybe. I think it looks pretty straight. Then come back here to the back and see if I can look at it any better. Alright, I just come down here to the north end of my string and just kind of looking down at there to where I staked it in the ground up there to pull it into that low spot, just to make sure I look like I'm running pretty straight. So alright, I got all my posts marked. I'm going to come through here and take my little 6-inch auger and start drilling them out. On this first one here, I just took my screwdriver and pulled my string line over out of the way, that way I can get to my hole without getting into the string. Alright, so I got all my posts dug here. I couldn't use that auger. I couldn't get it. It would only go down about 6 inches or a foot. I had to come back through and use that digging bar and my post hole diggers. I was only able to use that auger on like 3 holes to finish them out. But I got all the way down to this one right here. I've only got 10 posts. I've only got 10 posts left right now, so I'm only going to do 10 for now. Go over there and grab my posts and drop them in these holes. Some of these holes I may need to shift one way or another, so I'm going to drop the post down in there and see if I need to move any of them. So to check these posts to see if the holes, if I need to move the hole or not, I'm just kind of dropping my post in there. And my corner post is going to be like a 1/2 inch off that string, so I just drop my post in there, and and use my level to make sure my post is plumb, and I'm about 1/2 inch off that string, and I've got plenty of room for concrete around it. So I had to scoot this one over, I think about 1 inch, and it gives me enough room down there now. So that's the way I check them. I've just been dropping the posts in there and plumbing them up and see where they land on my string. If I need to move them, I'll just take my post hole digger and shave them out a little bit. But I think they're all good now. I think it's already mid part of the day. It's getting hot, so I may come back out this evening and start mixing concrete to set them in the ground permanently. Oh, I've had to hand dig all of these holes also, if I haven't mentioned it. It's been about 3 weeks since I've done that other side, and the ground is dried up so much now that that auger won't dig through that clay at all, even with that smaller bit. So I run that auger down there as far as I can, and then I just been taking that digging bar and water and just filling the hole up with water and digging it out with that bar and post hole diggers, and it's been worked out. It took me 2 days though. I think I've done these first 4 holes yesterday morning, and then I done 6 holes this morning, so they're all set, ready for concrete now. Alright guys, I got all my posts set in the ground yesterday and got them all concreted in nice and plumb. So this morning I'm back out here running my top rail. I kind of got started off camera, kind of got ahead of myself and didn't go back in there and grab my camera, but I'll show you what I'm doing here. Alright, so to get started, I just start my rail right here flush with this post here, because I'm going to come back and put a 2x2 in here. That way I can nail my pickets, have a spot to nail my pickets to. These first 2 posts here are running pretty level, and then the ground starts sloping. So I just come in here and measured over to my post on the center and just cut this. And then I screwed this one on there, and then this one here I kind of cut at an angle, that way it didn't leave a big gap there. And then the same thing here, I just kind of set it up there. I just set it up there and got the center of my post and took my frame or my speed square and just put a straight line, so it's kind of cut at an angle, that way this next rail will butt in there. So the way I've been doing these, alright guys, instead of measuring all them out, I just take my rail, and set it up there. Then I come back and come right here and just mark the center of my post, and then take it down there and cut it off. Saves time from having to pull the tape measure on all of it. Alright, so I've got 2 rails done right now, so I'm just going to keep going until I hit the end right here. I've only got 10 posts for now, so I'm just going to go to that last post there, and I'll have to wait till my other posts come in to finish. But I'm going to go ahead and get my other rails through there. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to go grab a rail, put it up there, mark it, cut it, screw it up all the way down to the end. So that's how I get my rails on there. Alright, I just got the top rail installed, and this is kind of what it looks like. Kind of had some twisted boards to work with, so I just kind of clamped clamped my cutoffs on the back side, this rail was leaning way back, so I just kind of clamped that 2x4 on the back side of it to straighten the top of it back up. Make a little transition here, so I cut my rail on the center of this post and the center of this post, and then I run this one on over to the end of it here. But I'm out of post, so that's about as far as I can go. The rails or the boards they sent me, those things look like spaghetti and bananas and everything else, so I'm going to take those back. Alright, so I've got look like 4 boards that I'm not going to be able to use. I'll see if I can stand one of them up here and kind of show you what they sent me to work with here. That's typical Lowe's lumber right there. They're all like that. Some of them are worse than others. Alright, I went and got some more material to finish this section of fence. I went through there and measured in between each one of my posts and got my length for my rails, so I'm going to get set up over here on my miter saw and start checking these measurements off. Alright, to get my measurements for my rails, I just got this scrap piece of wood here, and I come up 30 inches and 30 inches there and put me a mark there. That way I'll lay this in here and I'll butt it up against there. That way my rails are all 30 inches apart. And I just mark them on the back side right here. And then this bottom one, I just put a mark at the bottom of it because that's where it's going to sit at. I'll just do that all the way down through there. Alright, I went through there and marked all the rails and marked all the location for the rails and just got them laid out here. Went in there and grabbed a couple of clamps and stuck on each post to help me hold them up there. And I just come through on the back side and screw them in. Alright, I'm just going to set this up on time lapse and continue this process for the middle rail, then come back and do the bottom rail after I get the middle rail put in. Alright, I got all my rails installed here. Now I'm getting ready to nail my pickets up. To get started here, I still need to rip down a 2x4. I need to rip down a 2x2 to go in here in the corner to finish up against my carport. So what I'm doing to get started is I just come over here and measured 5.5 over and took my level here and just put me some marks on the rails here, made me some level marks on all 3 rails. I'm going to start my pickets. So I'm going to start my pickets on that line right there. That way I can come back and finish this later. I can't get to my table saw right now. I got too much wood on it, but once I get some of these pickets down through here, I can come back and finish this part up. Alright, so while I got these rails set up here, I'm going to flush it up with the top That way I'm going to come back and put a cap and trim on there. So I'll set them up to where they'll be flush at the top. So I'm going to start on my line right here. Put a nail there. Now I just keep going like that right there. And that should give me a good level starting point. And I'll just keep stacking pickets down through there, checking them every so often. Alright, so I'm getting ready to set these rails up for this gate. I've already got my rail, or the post in the ground, and got the rails already up for the privacy fence. And I'm coming back and adding the nail, the 2x2s to these gate posts. But I thought I'd bring you in here and show you what I've done on these. So these Lifetime steel posts, they recommend you to use 2 posts. Alright, on these doubled up gate posts here, when I put them in the concrete, when I dug the hole and poured concrete around them, I just clamped them together with bolts. I got 3 bolts on each side here. And then when I come back and put my 2x2 in here for my pickets to nail to, I pulled the bolts out on this side and just run my screws through both posts here. Okay, so I'm putting my filler pieces in to attach my pickets to. So I'll run them screws through the holes right there to attach this other side on there. I'm going to try to I'm going to come through here with my drill bit and drill plumb through. I'm going to drill plumb through them about 6 places here. That way I can come through with some 3-inch screws and try just to make sure I hit the holes right here. That way I can get the screws through there. So I'm going to come through here and drill 6 of them and then put my other board on. Alright, that's what it looks like after I come back and put that second trim board in there. So those just give me a place to nail my pickets to when I cap these posts off. So I'll come back and add one more right here. So I'll come back and add one more on this side right here. But I can just come back and I have to pull them bolts out, and I can just run them short screws through here on this side. That'll just give me a place to just to run a picket across here and cover these steel posts up. Alright, so I got all my pickets put on the fence. All that's left to do on this section here is build the gate for that open spot down there. Thought I'd bring you back out here and kind of show you some of the final details I done on this. So the part I started on right here, I left this picket off right here. I measured over 5.5 to start this one. So once I got the pickets finished on this side, I come back in and you see I ripped down that 2x2 and put in there to give me a place to nail this last picket on. So I put this picket on there, and then this trim piece here from the carport, that trim piece right there, kind of cover the gap and kind of cover the leg of the carport. I just stuck it up there and then come back on the back side and scribed it along the edge of the carport. I just went in there on my table saw and ripped it down to where it fit in there and covered the leg up pretty much. And then I just used some scrap pieces of wood and just shimmed that out because my carport's not plumb, it's kind of leaning a little bit. So I just grabbed some scrap and used some metal wood to metal screws and screwed them scrap pieces in there, and that gave me a place to attach this picket into. So I put a shim in the top and a shim in the middle there, and then the bottom is just touching. I didn't have to put a shim there. I may come back and trim this trim this out with something, I don't know yet, but while I was waiting on them posts, I went ahead and enclosed this off right here. I'll put a link to this video in the description as well if you want to see how I done that. It was just simple, just ripped some boards down and then nailed some 1x6s up there. But that's the way I finished that off right there. I think it looks pretty good from out here. And I'll come down here to this gate opening. Alright, so on this gate opening here, it's a 12-foot opening, and lifetime steel post. They recommend you to use 2 steel posts doubled up if your gate's going to be over 4 foot. So I'm going to be 2 6-foot, so I doubled them posts up. So I had to trim them out with some 2x2s, that way I have a place to nail my pickets to. That's what they're going to look like. And then when I come back and finish, there will be a picket covering this up. It looks like that on both sides here. You can kind of see there's a little gap in between them there. So I screwed this first 2x2 just by running screws in from the back side, and then I come back and drilled through the steel post through the 2x2, and then used some 3-inch screws and screwed from the front side into this back side to get that one on there. I run that drill bit through the steel post, that way when I come back from the front side I knew my screw was going to go through the steel post. So that's what that side looks like there too. Of course, the corner there. And then I got the pickets all the way down to the building. Alright, so this section right here, I did a separate video on it. Since I done that video, I added one more row of boards to the top. I think it looks better. I left off, I only run 6 boards up, so in the video it's a little bit shorter than that. But this is the finished product on it. So when I went to Lowe's, I had to go back to Lowe's, pick up some more stuff. I went ahead and picked up 2 more boards and just run them on up closer to the top. That lays just got the same air gap from the top all the way down to the bottom. It looks pretty symmetrical. And on the corner here, this you can see right here, this is that 2x2. The 2x2 I'll put in to nail that picket in. When I come back, all of these will be capped. When I come back and add my cap and trim, I'm also going to cover all these steel posts up with pickets also. So I'll cover all the steel posts up with pickets, and then when I do that, I'll probably come back through and add I know for sure one right in the middle, and I may add 2 or 3 pickets to that just to make it look more like the fence. Alright, so I've got this section of privacy fence completely finished. Got it all, the pickets on it. I just missing the gate. I think I'm going to do a separate video on the gate, so stay tuned for that. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button down below if you don't mind. And as always, thanks for watching.